My name is Brandon Abbott. I'm located in Columbia, South Carolina. I actually am a real estate investor by profession, so this is what I do full time, and I'm invested in 2 Ashcroft Capital deals. Multifamily is great because it is a great tax shelter for income, number one, and it creates consistent cash flows, whereas something in the market or some other sector may be a little more volatile. Multifamily has proven consistent through all recent downturns, including 2008 housing market downturn. It's proved to be stable. Through COVID, it's proved to be stable, and many other asset classes, whether it be retail, especially hotel, and different things have really taken big dips, especially through COVID. And so multifamily, just everybody needs a place to live. And as we've seen, population growth go and demand and single family inventory go down, multifamily just keeps getting better and better. So when we thought it couldn't get any better, it just keeps getting better. So that's why I love it so much. And we have our own investments that we do ourselves. And so I think that speaks to Ashcroft Capital too, that we would invest with another group, because nobody does anything like you do it yourself. But if I can trust somebody else, and I like that little bit of diversification, and I can also kind of see what kind of assets they're investing in. And it's just another nice return, because I know that, like I said before, not to sound a little bit redundant, but multifamily is a great space. And then you're left with which operator you're going to choose. And then I'm also investing in that space myself. So I know I'm going to invest with myself, obviously. And so who else within multifamily am I going to invest with? And Joe and Ashcroft and Frank would be my number one choice outside of investing in my own deals. We've known Ashcroft for quite some time, Joe especially, because he's been in the space for quite a while. And in our group, we've learned a lot from Joe and from Ashcroft Capital and how they do things. And we still communicate and collaborate and talk about the market and different things like that. So, they're very knowledgeable, very experienced. I would say, they are, if I had to choose operators, I'd say they're within the top 3 in the country as far as the syndication group. I definitely think they're on their A game and do a great job. I'd love to see, this going on as well with the testimonials and getting people to give some feedback. I like the simplicity of it with the dashboard. I actually have it pulled up on my other screen over here with the IMS platform. It's just easy. I can check it. I can see kind of, where my returns are going. The distributions come through. I get an email saying, I have a distribution's been processed. So it's just nice to see that coming in. So I think just the ease of it all and the simplicity of it all is what's very nice, and the ability to just trust that I know what deals that Ashcroft brings to me are going to be good deals. There's so many operators out there that they get a little creative with their underwriting, and I know that Ashcroft, that Joe and Frank don't do that, and everybody else on the team. But I know that I can trust it, and then once I am invested, it's very simple and consistent. 3 reasons I would recommend Ashcroft to a friend would be, number one, I personally have had a good experience with them. So I'm never going to refer anybody to somebody that I haven't had an experience with. And number 2, my experience has been positive. I don't have any negatives. And number 3, I want people invested in multifamily, as many friends as possible invested in multifamily, because I'm a firm believer that is where true wealth is generated, and generational wealth in that space. And so I'm kind of a salesman for multifamily across any of my investor friends. When they ask me, what should I be investing in? I say multifamily. And that's one good thing about Ashcroft Capital is they're consistent. There are a lot of groups that get very diversified. Our group does the same thing. We are in different asset classes besides multifamily. Joe has stayed consistent, and Ashcroft, Joe and Frank and Ashcroft and the whole team there have stayed consistent all the way from their inception all the way till now. It's, value add multifamily. And so they have that now. They've been doing it, and that's what they do, and that's what they do best. And so when you get a deal, you're going to get a multifamily, value add deal, and they understand that game. And because that's all they do, and they're focused on that. We've always had cash distributions on the deals that I am invested in. There are times I know in multifamily where, things may, collections through COVID may cause a hiccup in distributions, but I've always received distributions consistently from Ashcroft. So that's what I like is that monthly checking account bump, whether it's 7% or 8% or 6%, whatever the pref was on that deal. I get it consistently, and I've been in, oh man, I can't remember when, 2018 and 2020. So since 2018, I've been investing with Ashcroft, and it's been consistent cash flows, and it's just nice, it's like having a rental property, right, that you're getting income on, but without having to do any of the work. So I can, instead of taking my money and buying a rental property and having to fix the water heater and paint the walls and clean the carpet every time somebody moves out, I just give it to Ashcroft, and I get the same or more money back from that than I would in a rental. I have no worry, and I know it's going to be taken care of. And if I have, if I have a single rental property, I don't have any of the tax write-offs that I do with a big multifamily and the cost segregation. So on top of all that, I'm getting deferred capital gains tax on everything that I make off of it. As I mentioned before, I like to diversify and be with some other operators. I'd like to see some other markets. Let's say I have my own personal properties in one sector of the U.S. and Ashcroft has something somewhere else. I like to see how that's performing. I like to look at the deals and see what the business plan is. And yeah, I definitely would. The fund model, which is something new. Before it was individual deals. As a property comes along, and that is what I'm in right now, is 2 individual deals. But now they have the fund model, and that's a little bit creates a little more stability. And so I plan on actually putting in some, this is good timing because I was actually planning on putting some in this week into the fund just to, kind of see how the fund model works, because that's something a little bit new to me. But it is nice because there are multiple properties that are buying within the fund. And so that does create a little diversity and a little aggregation on that front. So definitely looking forward to testing that out. If anybody's on the fence about investing with Ashcroft Capital, I definitely would say it's a very easy decision. Go ahead and hop off the fence and put your money with a proven group with a 100% successful track record. You don't get much of that these days, especially in the market. Look at the market and what it did last week. If anybody was in tech stocks, you either made a lot of money this week or you lost a lot of money last week. And, just that doesn't happen in multifamily. Rents have always trended up, and with all the inflation, everybody's concerned about inflation and rent increase, and interest rate increases. Well, with inflation, my rents go up with inflation. And that's what happens with multifamily. And with inflation, my property values go up with inflation. So it's a hedge against inflation. It's stable. It's a necessity asset. In other words, everybody doesn't have to have a self-storage unit. Everybody has to have, retail stores, but everybody has to live somewhere. And so no matter what, you're always going to have a demand for multifamily housing. And as the population in the U.S. grows and the density increases, multifamily becomes more and more popular.